Good afternoon, everyone. I call the September 11th, 2025 University Governance and Operations Committee meeting of the Arizona Board of Regents to order. Suzanne, will you please confirm we have quorum?
Yes, Chair Pacheco, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Today, the committee will convene an executive session to discuss executive session items listed on the agenda. At approximately 12:05 or so, the committee will reconvene in public session to hear the items listed on its agenda. I move to enter into executive session for the executive session items listed on the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The committee will now convene in executive session. Terrific. Thank you very much. I want to welcome everybody to today's committee meeting, and thank you for spending your time with us. This is the meeting of the University Governance and Operations Committee. It was called to order earlier today. We convened in executive session, and now we are back in public session. We have a significant number of items on our agenda. We will start by reviewing a request from the U of A for a first amended multiple year employment agreement for Walter Chip William Hale III as head baseball coach. I would like please to invite Desiree, the athletic director of the university, to give us a quick overview.
Thank you very much, Regent Pacheco. Esteemed members of the Arizona Board of Regents, we appreciate your time and consideration. We would request an amended multiple-year, 5-year contract for Coach Chip Hale. We are seeking this extension that would give him a contract through June 30 of 2030. This reflects both Coach Hale's exceptional record of achievement and our continued commitment to fiscal discipline. In just 4 years, Coach Hale has led Arizona baseball to 4 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. 2 years ago, he was named Pac-12 Coach of the Year after winning the Pac-12 outright. This past year, you may have seen that we won the Big 12. Coach Hale and the baseball team won the Big 12 and then proceeded to not only win the regionals, we won the Super Regionals, and we were so proud to represent the University of Arizona at the College World Series. Coach Hale has produced remarkable student athletes, and not only do our student athletes achieve on the baseball diamond, but they achieve in the classroom as well, earning a 3.16 cumulative GPA. This contract, as I mentioned, would go from July 1 of 2025 through June 30 of 2030. His compensation would be $520,000 total, with $350,000 represented in the base, $170,000 annually in supplemental compensation, for a total of $520,000 in years 1 to 3, and then $530,000 in year 4, $540,000 in year 5. Accordingly, we would request the board's approval for this contract extension. Are there any questions?
Does the committee have any questions? This is an action item. So I move that the committee forward for board approval the extension of the multiple year employment agreement for Walter Chip William Hale III as head baseball coach, as just presented by Desiree. So do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we move on to approving the consent agenda and then having our enrollment conversation, I'd like to turn the floor over to Chair Goodyear.
Yeah, just a brief somber note before we start. I want to address the murder that occurred yesterday on a university campus in Utah. Charlie Kirk was a neighbor living nearby. He spoke several times at Arizona State and had made speaking on campuses across the country a central part of his mission. We grieve for him and his widow and their 2 young children and his entire extended family. And we pray that the violence that is occurring within our political discourse, whether on campus or not, will diminish rather than get worse. Yesterday was a sad, sad day for the country that we love.
Thank you. I appreciate those words very much. Now moving on to our agenda. I would like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda. I believe that all of you have had an opportunity to review that. And so I move that we forward to the board for approval items 5 point, hang on, I'm trying to read this without my glasses. 5.1 to 5.9. Are there any issues, conversation? Okay. So do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much. And now we move forward to talk about enrollment. And again, Chair Goodyear, are there any comments that you'd like to make before we begin our conversation?
No.
Okay. So we're going to be speaking about university enrollment, and we're going to have our core experts and our chief financial officers tell us what it means for the university, not only now, but for the future, because obviously this is our number one, not only is it our customer and client base, but it's also a huge revenue source for us. During the spring and summer committee, we highlighted a series of emerging forces, including a slate of federal policy changes and demographic shifts that put pressure on our universities, both from an operations standpoint and a financial standpoint. The first of these changes related to federal grants, which we are already experiencing and have had a lot of conversation around. And I do want to laud all three of our university presidents for how well it's been managed. I think it's been very thoughtfully considered, researched, and all three universities have put in place contingency plans to protect their respective institutions from these unexpected financial challenges. The next impact area is enrollment, both international, out-of-state, and in-state. Today's updates from the universities are intended to both preview the board's later discussion about forecasts, as well as to create visibility around early impacts of any new trends. These numbers are preliminary, and we will receive the full 21st day census counts in the weeks ahead, but they are current indicators. And it also gives us an opportunity to have this conversation and to ask our presidents what other trends they're seeing that could potentially be impacting our operations. Because of the lack of state government support compared to other states like Texas or Florida, enrollment revenue is the single largest source of revenue for our universities. So this is a very important measure for us, and it's going to ebb and flow. And so we, again, want to thank the presidents and their teams in how they go about monitoring this and then putting in place the infrastructure to protect the organizations and the institutions. It is only one of many measures that we look at, however. Net revenue per student, revenue mix, cost containment, all of these figures contribute to a university's overall financial health. At the beginning of this fiscal year, our universities predicted that flat or declining enrollment for all of the external trends that we've been discussing. And each has planned to maintain or add to their balance sheets as they go about looking for the best way to manage that lagging indicator, if you will. For us as a board, what matters most is that the university teams are monitoring these trends daily, making proactive adjustments and aligning their operations with financial realities. We are fortunate to have such excellent senior teams, and I really want to emphasize that. These guys really know what they're doing. We go back and forth a lot. We have a lot of debate, but the board stands fully behind all three presidents in how they are managing these sort of choppy waters. And so we're looking forward to the conversation and the discussion. So I'd like to invite the university CFOs and enrollment leads to provide the board a brief update related to their enrollment for the fall, recognizing that these details are not formally compiled. These are estimates, they're guesstimates, but we're very much looking forward to the conversation. So do I get to choose who comes up first? Should we,
Go for alphabetical.
I would like very much, if, Dr. Crow, if you could start us off, that would be great, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Regent Pacheco. So let me start by saying that you're absolutely right that
That you're great?
no, we have two objectives. Obviously, our mission is to serve students, and our revenue is heavily derived from the students that we serve. So ASU is a complex institution. We will see, and I want to make sure that Regents understand this, we're reporting on our fall enrollment. ASU's spring enrollment is substantially expansive also because of our online programs. And so right now, we have about 158,500 students enrolled for the fall semester pursuing degrees at ASU. That's about a 5% increase over the last fall semester, with about 11% increase in our digital immersion students and about a 1.5% decrease in our on-campus students. We have significant complexity in out-of-state markets and significant complexity in international markets for two different reasons. Lots of students are not traveling out of state to universities. This is true around the country, so we're experiencing some of that. We will correct that. It is nonetheless the case, just to put it into the region's perspective, that our annual enrollment will be above 190,000, even though we're just under 160,000 now. We are seeing record enrollment, record acceleration, all kinds of things that are happening as we have more degrees and evolve more degrees and make things happen. Record retention rate and so forth. So retention helps enrollment. At the same time, graduating students then can, big groups of students can then graduate and then they're gone, so they're not a part of your enrollment. So we're seeing record graduation, record enrollment, and record revenue. But I will say that we're not seeing the revenue that we had hoped for. So our revenue is below what we had shot for, but above what we had. And so we're making, all of the necessary adjustments. We're also making substantial adjustments to our marketing methods, the engagement of our faculty, the engagement of our departments and our schools. We're trying to get people to understand the centrality of students' enrollment and their success. Provost Gonzalez and Vice President Hopkins could also, you want to add anything? Use that microphone.
Yeah, we had a very active summer where we activated everybody in the system, including, for example, with the international student visa situation, case by case, literally contacting every student, understanding their situation, encouraging people to stay in there. And we actually have currently students who were not able to get visas. We've got 500 of them taking advantage of our Career Catalyst, which is our learning enterprise opportunities.
They're not in these numbers, those people.
They're not in these numbers. So very, very active involvement. It was one of our deans said it was a brutal summer, but we really have good results to show for it.
We probably reduced what was going to be the loss of international students by 1,000, and then have 500 students in this program that we have. And so I would say that our biggest disruption, the process disruption of the visas because of political changes, okay, we'll work our way through those. Those will eventually be solved. We've been reaching out to everyone. It's really the out-of-state students that have been complicated for us. I will say, because some regions, including in particular Regent Duval, we did have significant increases in Arizona students, both online and on campus. Dramatic increases in our first-year student body from Arizona. Dramatic increases in immersion and huge increases online in Arizona, or from Arizona, which are all financially challenging because of the lack of state-based financial aid.
Are there any questions or comments?
Is Morgan here? Did you want to add anything financially, Morgan?
Yeah, probably just one thing. I think the folks who work on our student recruitment and retention efforts did a tremendous job on into the summer, as Provost Gonzalez indicated. And so I think, some of the concerns we had earlier on, we were able to work through. I think it will be a little more challenging year than last year. We're a substantially tuition-driven institution, but we feel good about the progress that's been made. We've made some adjustments in our operating plans to reflect that we will have fewer than we would like of those high net revenue generating non-resident and international students this year.
I'll also just add that structurally, the Regents years ago allowed ASU to advance a new model of the organization of our semesters. And so we have Fall A, 7.5 weeks, Fall B, 7.5 weeks, or Fall C, which is the entire, we offer courses that start in October, in the middle, so you can join the university in October, you can join the university in January, you can join the university in March, you can join the university in 2 of the summer sessions. And so these things give us significant advantage and agility in dealing with market disruptions and people that are out there, or things that are happening, or changes in Pell Grants, or changes in this, or changes in that. So all of that is working in our favor. So we're projecting record enrollment.
There's a lot of built-in flexibility. Are there any questions, comments?
Only comment I'd make, and I think this applies to all 3 universities, not just ASU, I am struck by the nimbleness with which you've responded to changing market circumstances. So whether it was FAFSA last year and the meltdown from the federal government and their ability to process that type of information, to now the circumstances with visas and all the changes coming out of Washington, D.C., I'd say our universities have been about as responsive and adaptable as can be, and that's very much to you and your senior team's credit.
Well, I know that they hear you, and they appreciate that very much, and they work tirelessly, which is why we're the largest producer as a single university of bachelor's degrees in the United States. We're the largest recipient of Pell Grants in the United States, of a single university. And so if we don't figure these things out, we're also in big trouble. So I'm looking back at the provost and others.
No pressure.
Look 'em in.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. And I'd like to invite NAU to give us their update. I don't know who from the team is here. Oh, yes. Provost, wonderful. Thank you.
Just coming up here.
How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Chair Pacheco, thank you. I think we have our enrollment lead on Zoom as well, who can provide some background and answer some questions if we can't. I just want to provide a high-level overview of our enrollment situation as we see it now, and as has been described with the report from ASU. It's a preliminary accounting of where we think we stand. Overall enrollment at this point is exactly as we had projected to you in June. We're looking to be down in total headcount by just a little less than 3%, 2.9%, which tracks expectations we projected in a presentation to you in June, a 3% decline overall. So we're very heartened by that. We sustained a predominant Arizona resident profile among our students at 74% of our total enrollment of just over 26,000. We also host at the same time students from 50 states, 90 countries, and 132 federally recognized Native American tribes. We have a smaller reduction in our undergraduate enrollment at a decline of 2.5%, and a larger reduction in graduate enrollment at a reduction of 4.9%. Retention at the same time has increased, as has our graduation rates, to match an all-time high. And while our new student enrollment has declined, and this has especially been the case in graduate enrollment. New graduate student enrollment is impacted substantially, as we're all experiencing, by the changing situation with enrolling international students. We're facing obstacles, especially with enrolling students that wish to take our programs who are coming from India, where visa appointments have been on hiatus for some time. And like our colleague institutions, we've adapted some ways to continue to engage with those prospective students who wish to study in our programs. And we have set up basically an opportunity to start with us later in the semester, and we're hopeful that maybe by that time they may get through the visa process. We also have multiple terms within semesters, and so we have set up the most high-demand programs for international students to have October start dates or as well as January start dates. So we hope to recover some more international student enrollment by that time. Our new undergraduate transfer student enrollment is holding steady compared to last year. And I'm really happy to say that breaking a trend of recent years, overall online undergraduate enrollment is flat, and that is despite higher graduation rates. And this positive change is driven by an increase in new undergraduate student enrollment in our online programs. Graduate program enrollment in our personalized learning online programs is also up nicely. And then, of course, the analysis of what implications this has for us awaits an examination of the mix, the end of, end of story mix as of the 21-day census, and I'll let Bjorn comment on that.
Thank you, Provost Brulesi. We will be taking a look at enrollment mix when we reach our 21-day and see where the mix of full-time, part-time, on-campus, online comes in. Overall enrollment is tracking where we are. It's going to be a mixed question. As was presented in June to the board, expected that the overall impact would be potentially, within 1 percentage point of where we were projecting revenue to be last year. So, down 3% for enrollment, but would have a smaller percentage impact on the dollars. And we will be, undertaking that analysis, but we expect that to be pretty consistent with that overall projection in the June board meeting.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Oh, yes, sir.
Chair, thank you. I guess my question comes as you break down these numbers. I'm interested in the transfer from community colleges. I know a lot of effort has been put in by all three universities, and certainly there's process and procedure in place here in Arizona for that. But I'd be very curious to kind of in those numbers understand how many are coming out of a 2-year, community college situation transferring into NAU, just as I would be for U of A and ASU. So that's just a general question going forward. How does that mix from our community colleges look relative to coming to the four-year universities?
We're holding, as I indicated, holding rather steady. It's down just a fraction of a percent, and for us, that's about 1,700 new transfer students, undergraduate transfer students, as of today.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate the update and look forward to the 21-day report. And may I please invite the University of Arizona to the square. Is this a square? It's not a stage. Yeah.
Very much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
So I don't want to be redundant. We have a very short report because we are seeing the similar trends that both ASU and NAU shared. As you know, our consensus won't be out for a few more days, and we'll have really concrete numbers for enrollment, but everything is tracking the way that we expected. So enrollment, and John can tell you a little bit about the financial element to this. Our first-year enrollment is a little lower, but we expected that, and we actually intentionally moved to that direction because we are trying to recruit students who will graduate. Our new transfer enrollment is flat. Our graduate student enrollment is a little down. A lot of that is related to international students, but we just got an influx of international students in the last couple of days, so we'll know a little more about that. Retention is up, which has been a strategic priority for us. It's not at the level I want it to be, but it is up, and we had very intentional activities over the summer for retention, calling students, making sure that they would be scheduled for classes. I think what we're also seeing is more residential students, as President Crow mentioned, fewer non-residential students. We are up about 3% in our resident students who are Pell eligible. So that has been an interesting uptick for us. Arizona Online numbers are about a little up in their growth, and UAGC reports a very different time frame, so we won't have their numbers for a while, but they seem to be moving in the right direction. We do have a nice transfer framework from our community colleges, but that could be so much better. Most of our transfers come from Pima.
Okay. And now, is this the first time that you've presented at this committee?
No, I think I did this 1 week into my job.
Okay. I was going to do a big welcome, but
Yes,
never mind.
I think I was here in May, and I had just started my job like 7 days before that.
Right, it's a swirl.
Yes, exactly.
And John, would you add anything from a financial standpoint?
Sure. As the board knows, one of the goals that we set a year ago was to work on our discount rate, and which we've deliberately done. And we knew that would affect this year's enrollment, and it has done so. But I can say that net tuition revenue is tracking right with budget so far this fall. Again, it's early. We'll know more in the coming weeks, but right now I feel pretty comfortable how the numbers are coming in.
Terrific, wonderful. Are there any questions for the University of Arizona? Okay, hearing none, thank you very much. We appreciate the update. And this was informational, and so it does not require a motion or a vote. And we will be moving on to our next agenda item, which is item 3.1, the review and recommending to forward to the board for approval the Arizona State's annual capital plan, including a waiver of policy. So I would invite ASU's team to the square so we can be dazzled and discuss capital budgets. They're always really riveting. I know everybody around this table really enjoys them.
That's what we do.
Yeah. I think the only person that gets really excited about it is Morgan. And he's smiling and genuinely looking forward to the presentation.
All right, so we're all in deep trouble. We'll start with that. So our, Madam Chair, members of the committee, our annual capital plan for this fiscal year basically, is derived from the things we attempt to do over long term through our charter and our goals and our objectives. We have 6 projects on the annual capital plan this year, totaling $676 million in project costs. You see them there on the screen behind me. We have a modernization of our physical sciences H complex. Physical sciences complex, I think, is about seven different components. We've been going through that on a methodical basis to renew those. Those are largely teaching laboratories, but also some research laboratories. And we originally anticipated building a new building, and I'm sure at some point will. But the cost effectiveness of renewing this space was higher. In other words, we got more lab for the dollar here, and so we're going to proceed with this second phase of the physical science complex modernization for about $115 million. We have our Poly student.
Let me just add before that one. So Regent should remember that we're the largest producer of STEM majors and graduates in the United States. And so this is a critical contribution that we're making to the Arizona economy, to the American economy. And you'd be shocked by these kinds of numbers to renovate undergraduate teaching labs, but undergraduates are coming out now at levels of capability that were unheard of even 30 years ago. So these labs have to be first rate for our faculty and staff to teach these students in the right way.
So on our Polytechnic campus in Southeast Mesa, we are planning to significantly expand our student union there. That is something that students voted to increase the fees that they paid to allow that to happen. We have a number of infrastructure investments, including on our Tempe campus, where we plan to replace the transformer and switchgear. I know that's the part, Regent Pacheco, you're really excited about. About $15 million to do that, but when I actually do get excited when our facilities team comes to me and says, this thing could break, and if it did, we might not have power for weeks. I say, yeah, we need to fix that. So
I really like Transformers.
we're going to do that. The McCain Center, which I'll say more about in a minute, that sits north of Tempe Town Lake and is funded largely from grants, is something that we're working on. Our ASU Health headquarters in the Phoenix BioCore, downtown Phoenix. Part of our ongoing efforts for renewal of our intercollegiate athletic facilities to move our Sun Devil Athletics tennis and track facilities to the east side of Rural Road in the East Athletic Village. And then our Macro Technology Works building in the ASU Research Park, doing some renovations there, partly as required by a partnership that the board previously reviewed, and then some things that we think we need to do to continue to be a leader in the semiconductor space with all the opportunity there is there. So that's a total of about $676 million.
Morgan, you might mention the other investors that we have on the.
Yes, so Applied Materials is a big investor there.
$200 million.
They are interested in the human capital that can be developed there, so it's a tremendous opportunity for our faculty and particularly for our students, engineering and other STEM fields to learn in state-of-the-art facilities. And they are highly attractive to industry and, can go right out to
Can you just tell us what
TSMC.
Applied Materials does for the purpose of the committee?
Applied Materials
again.
makes machines that are used in the manufacturing of semiconductor systems. And so they make the very complicated chemical processing and small, intricate device, nanoscale processing, 5 nanometers, 4 nanometers, 3 nanometers.
Yeah, they refer to them as tools, and basically they're the machinery that actually then produces the components that go into semiconductors and assembled chips. And those tools usually are worth multiple millions of dollars, starting at $2 million on up. And so part of the commitment there is they're bringing a large number of tools that will be available to our faculty and our students to use.
It will also
And I
be
just want to
used as.
flag the importance of a company like that in the sort of broader advanced manufacturing
So they're the most.
ecosystem in Arizona. So
they're
they
the-
are, and so it's the relationship that ASU has with Applied Materials is awesome.
They're a California-based headquartered company, but they're making huge investments. They're also interested in us facilitating the incubation of new semiconductor companies that can use these machines. Region Goodyear helped broker an investment also from the Arizona Commerce Authority that's a part of this project. So this is a $270 million project in an unbelievably important facility, which is a part of the overall national strategy that the President and Secretary of Commerce Lutnick are advancing as a part of the Chips and Science Initiative for American dominance in these spaces. These things are all related to that.
So,
So I just made the Capitol report. Interesting.
yep. Yeah, oh, it's good stuff, good stuff. Most of it required, by the
Yeah.
way.
I will eventually get Morgan to laugh.
If you would like, so in the semiconductor world, smaller is actually better. Maybe that's true of some of our reports, too.
Speaking my language.
Less is,
Less is more.
Morgan brings the humor.
I know.
I'm on a roll, just go with it.
Yeah.
So the debt ratio impact of these projects would be an increase for our non-speed projects of about 0.5%. And you see the numbers there at the bottom of the screen. But well within our budget capabilities and the legal limits.
For
here's-
comparison purposes, what is an acceptable number for debt?
So what I would say, Regent Goodyear, is that we would probably have challenges budgetarily before we reach the legal limit, which is basically 8% of a modified version of our annual expenditures.
So we're not even close.
We're not close.
And we're down from where we've been historically, so our revenue allows us to then just be able to handle these things, so.
And that, largely is going to be governed by what the rating agencies think. And so we have to keep them comfortable that we have outstanding ability to pay our debt service.
And what did they just say, those that just reviewed some of our debt issuances?
We're in great shape. We a couple of weeks ago, we just borrowed over $300 million in the capital markets, maintained our rating and our outlook, and actually benchmarked better than many AAA issuers, higher education issuers who are in the market at about the same time. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. We'd originally planned to do this refunding in the spring, and certain things happened that caused spreads to blow out, and well, that really is bad, but we had our heart set on achieving net present value savings of about $21 million, and Anjali Halbe and her team over there were.
Our warriors should stand up here.
Yep,
so-
yep. Take a wave. So she did a tremendous job on that, and I said, we needed 21 million. We're going to hold on till we get 21 million, and we managed to do that. So we feel really good about that. So here's the list and the funding sources. I won't bother to spend more time on that unless there are questions that you have here.
I'll just add something relative to project number, if you can go back to the list. Project number 5, which isn't on the Tempe campus, but it says Tempe campus there.
It does, and it's not correct,
Yes.
actually. Yeah.
And so
Should be Phoenix BioCore or downtown Phoenix.
Phoenix Bioscience Core, but,
Apologies.
so when you see a number like that, obviously the speed bond funding is an unbelievably important ingredient, but that's just the cost to design and construct the building, not equip it, not put in the special scientific facilities, the special everything. So this is probably a $300 million effort for us. This is one of the largest undertakings that we've ever put in place, and this facility will be central to all the things that we outlined for the Regents in the ASU Health Initiative, which is far more than a couple of schools. I mean, it's the largest undertaking that we've ever made in anything associated with the health and well-being of this community.
So just very quickly in each of the projects here, this is actually Physical Sciences H. I assure you it's beautiful on the inside. It won't change the look a lot on the outside, but we will have beautiful new state-of-the-art laboratory.
And this is a second phase of.
It is,
yeah.
yeah. We just finished up the first phase, which I believe was about $80 million.
So it's a $200 million renovation to teach undergraduate science.
And that's only part of it. So there will be more in the future. But you can see the outcomes here in terms of the number of labs that this will affect.
And the smiling faces.
What it will, will help us do.
I'll also just point out for the Regents' edification that our online biochemistry degree, which is now one of the largest biochemistry programs in the country, the students have to come to campus. There are some things you can't do online, so they travel here from all over the country and ultimately from all over the world to take our undergraduate labs on campus with us.
So on our Polytechnic campus, we are going to more than double the amount of space that we have available. The growth there is basically just sort of outstripped our ability to accommodate students. There'll be student government offices, student organization offices. We'll be able to bring in the community a lot more because we'll have larger meeting spaces for them. We'll be able to expand and improve our food service, dining spaces, campus store, really, kind of improving the quality of life for students on our Polytechnic
In the
campus.
Polytechnic campus, Morgan and I just took a tour of the brand-new world-class advanced manufacturing facility that we've opened, another $300 million project, including equipment. So the life of the Polytechnic campus is evolving and expanding, and we're then now going to accelerate our innovation district on that campus now that we have these other facilities up and running.
And because of the nature of the programs we have there, this is our, Polytechnic or Learning Through Doing campus. We do have a lot of international students interested in various areas of STEM that study there, and our colleagues in our student affairs area have done a really good job of, acknowledging and accommodating that, so they feel very welcome on that campus. Then here is the beautiful central plant transformer. Tom Lyons, I think, is over here in the corner someplace, or was. There he
But can
is.
the transformer turn into a car?
Not yet. I think that would be extra. But what it will do is ensure that we have reliable and redundant power. So, replacing the transformers and switch gear and the controls and all of that. I think you actually could eat off of this floor, though. So this will modernize a lot of our electrical infrastructure. And because of the intensity of the research that we have on this campus that is, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, reliability and redundancy are incredibly important. And so this is an investment in allowing that to continue.
Including, just to remind the Regents also, that we now have a fully functional thing equivalent of the Stanford Linear Accelerator on campus in our X-ray laser lab, which is one of the most powerful lasers in the world, generating these special X-rays that allow us to do this certain kind of science, which means we have to have the infrastructure to support those kinds of instruments.
It is in a 24-inch lead-lined box in the basement of Biodesign C. Yeah. So this is the McCain Center that sits on the site of the old Community Services Building, which has been a number of things, including a sanitarium over the years. That would be raised, and we would build a facility that will probably look something like this, but the idea is it's supposed to look at home, in a fairly desert environment here. We anticipate about a 68,000 gross square foot multi-purpose facility. It will have a variety of public service components to it. It will recognize the career of Senator John McCain and extend the thinking around the things that he thought were important as matters of public policy, be a convening place, et cetera. Eventually, we'd love to have some other amenities, maybe a hotel for people to attend events there. So we're thinking about all that. But this first phase is this building, about $187 million funded by grants and available university funds. You see the breakdown there, and we are moving that facility along as quickly as we can. You can see on the site plan here that it sits along Curry, and I think that's Galvin Parkway.
It's on the other side of the river.
On the other side of the river, yes. So a little ways off from the campus, but it will have amenities in it that the Tempe campus community will be able to use, as well as the broader community and people from all kinds of places. So here's an artist rendering of our downtown Phoenix campus ASU Health Building that will house both our new School of Medicine and Advanced Medical Engineering, our School of Technology for Public Health, our Health Observatory, and a number of other functions, including significant space for industry collaboration. Our medical students, we intend to be very facile in terms of being able to apply various types of technology to the practice and improvement of medicine. And part of that is working, with industry to make that happen.
Remembering that every graduate will graduate with an MD degree and a master's degree in engineering.
So this will be a very prominent building that will sit on Fillmore, as you can see, downtown between 4th and 5th Streets. So we're excited about this, anticipate breaking ground in the late spring next year. About a $200 million building funded by SPEED and system revenue bonds, and you see the various components of that. We're deep into conceptual design on this facility now. We will also, as this picture reflects, include simulation space that will be shared with our nursing and other allied health students as well.
Just to add for the region, so the first medical school class will be admitted for the fall of 2026. The accreditation should be achieved in the next few weeks. So we'll be operating the medical school before this building is built for several years.
So switching to our relocation of track and tennis facilities, those now sit on the west side of Earl, immediately north of the Novus Place development we talked about a little bit earlier. Those facilities are not in the condition that we would like for them to be, to provide state-of-the-art facilities. And so in addition to doing that in the East Athletic Village, that will open up that parcel for future development as part of the Novus Innovation Corridor. The venues will include what our track and field and tennis teams need. You see some information on that there. We hope to be able to include some amenities that will support visitors and the teams in terms of concessions and merchandise sales, et cetera. We made an investment a number of years ago in recreation facilities for our students, and this will complement that as well. We anticipate that will be funded with system revenue bonds, and we're hoping to get that done for about $51 million.
Let me just add to that it's our hope in this district also that all of these athletic facilities will be a magnet for athletics and sports-oriented businesses and for basically personal training businesses, all of the things about high performance individuals. And so we're looking and attempting to attract businesses and enterprises that could use these facilities also and then co-locate. So thus the hotels, the restaurants, the apartments, the athletic facilities, now we're looking for, in fact, we made some progress on, but will not achieve the one that we were looking for.
We're not done yet.
Which was performance medicine, where you might train, Navy SEALs, astronauts, professional athletes, Olympic athletes. So we're looking at that as a thing that we can do in this particular area.
As you know, our ASU Research Park sits in South Tempe, about 300 acres, over 60 businesses employing over 4,000 people in the park.
Let me just remind the regents of something they might not realize. So the regents required us to abandon the teaching farm that was located on this acreage back in the 1950s and 60s, and this is what we have now.
So this is our oldest innovation zone, almost fully built out. One of the facilities is the Macro Technology Works that you see pictured here, which was originally built by Motorola and then ultimately through a gift sale made available to the university. That space is highly intensive clean room space. In past years has been the locus for a lot of work that we've done for the Army and the Department of Defense around flexible displays. So think about, an electronic device that sits on the forearm of a soldier and is used, real time in the battlefield. But we've now transitioned a lot of this into the semiconductor world. And so part of this project of about $42 million will be the investment that we need to make in partnership with Applied Materials that President Crow mentioned earlier. It will also allow us to do some upgrading of other facilities that we think will position us for additional partnerships that may become available to us.
And I know Sally Morton's on the Zoom. Did you want to add anything to that, Sally?
Thank you, and apologies for not being there in person. It is about the Applied Materials Partnership, but I would also point out we have expansive partnerships with NXP and also DECA. DECA is the partner for their very large $100 million shield packaging project. So as Morgan elucidated, this money is not just for Applied Materials, but also for other partnerships and other work across Macro Technology Works.
And in that context, this project represents a piece of the leapfrog that ASU under Sally's leadership has been able to achieve, where we've become the most funded and most connected semiconductor research and development oriented university in the country.
Thank you very much. Sally, that was a great use of the word elucidated.
Yay.
Yes, well done.
Or a math man.
That was awesome. Yeah, thank you, Sally. So I'd also just mention quickly that Amcor, the corporate headquarters for Amcor, sits in the research park, has for about 10 years. Amcor is the company that is going to be building a massive semiconductor testing facility out next to TSMC, and reliability and testing of the chips that are made is an important part of the overall supply chain for creating those semiconductors.
It's just such a great reminder of the importance that the university plays in broader economic development and what an economic driver this entity is, all three of them,
I
really.
sent an article to Regents this morning on our role from the perception of this particular writer in the semiconductor push within Arizona. And so it is significant. As Sally knows, it's also been hair-raising, to try to win these things, to make these things happen, to deal with the government. The government keeps shifting and changing. Companies, Intel, I mean, it's a complicated arena out there.
So, Madam Chair, that really covers the annual capital plan, and if there are additional questions, we'd be happy to stand for them.
Thank you. Does the board, or does the committee have any questions? Hearing none, this is an action item. And I propose a motion that this committee forward to the board for approval ASU's annual capital plan, including a waiver of ABOR policy requiring annual capital plan projects to appear in previous capital improvement plans as presented in the executive summary and supporting documentation. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much, sir.
Good stuff.
And now moving on to item 3.2, I would ask that Northern Arizona University join us back at the square to present its annual capital plan. You're back.
I am back. Thank you, Chair Pacheco, members of the committee. NAU presents its annual capital plan in alignment with the campus master plan presented a couple years ago, and really enabled by SPEED funding that was most recently passed during the last session. Specifically, NAU presents two projects as outlined in the board materials, two projects that are more than the $10 million threshold. Those two projects really address high demand program for nursing, deferred maintenance, as well as improving space utilization and space optimization. Before getting into the two projects in particular, just a couple things to address. One, debt capacity as well as deferred maintenance. The deferred maintenance calculation for the past year did show for NAU a slight decrease in the overall deferred maintenance. It was small, 0.5%, but it was a small decrease in the midst of a inflationary increase of over 6%. So had that increase gone through of 6%, it would have shown a $20 million increase in deferred maintenance, but we did see that small decrease. As NAU really does continue to address through the annual capital infrastructure funds, investments in those key buildings that have deferred maintenance needs. And taking advantage of opportunistic needs, such as the investments that were done in the Mountain View residence halls of over $5 million, helped to bring that deferred maintenance down slightly this past year. Debt capacity, NAU has, over the past 3 years, reduced its overall debt level by nearly $100 million, 17%. That positions us well for the upcoming debt issuances that would be planned for these two projects. And these two projects, because they're SPEED funded, would really result in a university commitment of the 20% of about $1.3 million estimated that the university would be responsible each year. The debt ratio, as I talked about earlier, really does stay well below the 8% statutory limit at 5.8%. Still well below, and it is a question of having the resources to really fund what the additional debt is. So the two projects that NAU proposes are, one, a new College of Nursing building, Central Campus, 40,000 square foot building, replacing a approximately 26,000 square foot building. The existing building is in poor condition. It has an estimated $2.6 million in deferred maintenance. That would be addressed. It would also consolidate the nursing program that currently has programs within 3 buildings into one. And that is a very good use of space, as well as placing the building very close to the North Campus Science Corridor for biology, chemistry, and physical sciences. So it'll be a synergy by having that building at that location. In addition, it will result in part of the project, we would demolish 3 existing buildings, Peterson, Babbitt Academic Annex, and Academic Annex, that would also have $8 million in our current deferred maintenance number. So that $8 million would come off of our overall deferred DM number. This project in particular, the College of Nursing building, would be $50 million, and then again, I mentioned it would be supported by SPEED funding. The second project is a related project, is a renovation as well as deferred maintenance within our Klein Library. We have a combined HVAC and fire suppression system. This project would separate those 2 lines in the piping and bring the piping up to current code. So that's an important aspect of this. That's the first part of this. In conjunction, we would better optimize the space within the Klein Library and relocate members from the Babbitt Academic building that would be demolished into this building and just better utilize the overall space. Klein Library would be open throughout this entire process. We would be utilizing the schedules such as doing as much as we can during the breaks, summer, winter, and spring. We'd also utilize a construction wall to isolate the space optimization work so that, that is least disruptive for the buildings. So, Madam Chair, let me stop there, see if there's any questions for the two projects from any.
Does the committee have any questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much. This is an action item, and I move that this committee forward to the board for approval NAU's annual capital plan as presented in the executive summary and the supporting documentation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And now, moving on to 3.3, we'll ask the University of Arizona to present its annual capital plan, including a waiver of policy. Hi, Josh, welcome. John, are you joining Josh? No?
He's good on his own.
Okay. Look at that. Threw you to the wolves.
To the square.
This is Josh Wright. He's the Chief Facilities and Planning Officer for the University of Arizona, and he's going to present the item.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I am Josh Wright, Chief Facilities and Planning Officer for the university. This is my first time in the square.
Yeah,
So
welcome.
Thank you, thank you. This is week 7 for me on the job, so I know just slightly more than nothing at this point. So hopefully we'll have all the answers you need on our capital plan, which I'm honored to present to you for fiscal year 26. Let me see if I can work this thing here. Oh, there we go. As with all of our capital projects, certainly this year in our capital plan is underscored by the strategic imperatives of the university, focusing on success for every student, research that shapes the future, and engagement with our communities to create opportunity. And we hope you will certainly see that theme as we go through the 4 projects, 3 new and 1 resubmitted that we have for you today. See if I can, oh, goes one way but not the other. Is there a way
Can we
to-
get some
for the
assistance on the
slide?
deck, please?
There we go. Thank you.
Thanks.
The first project is our campus-wide deferred maintenance. The university comprises in its main academic and health sciences campuses about 254 buildings, about 9.8 million square feet. We certainly have many deferred maintenance needs that we hope to be tackling this year. It's a $33.5 million project, 30 million of which is financed. This will cover some of our main infrastructure and core elements of our campus buildings, including all of our fire systems, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, ADA improvements, all of our street transportation, many of the other aspects of campus that our students, faculty, and staff use every single day. Again, complying with our strategic mission to create a beautiful space that is welcoming for all of our campus personnel. Next slide, please. Similar to this, but specific to the athletics department. So our Arizona Athletics is going to be launching very soon here a study to assess our game day and fan experience. We're very excited about that. But we have a lot of infrastructure work that we want to do to underscore that investment as well. So this will certainly speak to that separate project. This is a $50 million fully financed project. We're looking at 12 different athletic facilities, and with the investment of $50 million, we'll be able to take care of a lot of the priority 1 and priority 2 investments we identified in a recent facilities condition assessment of all of our athletic facilities. The 3 largest that we'll be working on as well with the preponderance of this money is High Corbett Field, Arizona Stadium, as well as McHale Center. Again, 3 of our highest use facilities. But we also have 9 additional facilities that we'll be able to make a lot of progress in for our other sports as well. Next slide, please. Similarly, deferred maintenance and enhancements to our student union and other shared student spaces. Our student union was constructed in 2001. That was the last time it had major systems upgrades. I remember because I was in school there at the time, so it was a great new amenity at the time, but it certainly needs some additional work. And again, focusing on mechanical, electrical, plumbing, our ADA upgrades. And specific with this project, focusing on creating more shared student spaces, particularly around the dining experience. We're interested in looking both within the union as well as campus-wide at places that our students can gather, come together, and share a meal and share experiences and really build that campus culture that we are seeking. And so this is a $20 million project financed with SPEED revenue bonds. Next slide, please. The resubmitted project on our list this year is the Center for Advanced Molecular and Immunological Therapies, also known as CAMI. This is a project that had been previously approved by this body in a larger amount. The previous budget was $302 million. That has actually been brought down to $232 million, hence the reason for the resubmittal. This is an exciting new biomedical facility being built currently at the corner of 7th and Fillmore in downtown Phoenix on the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. You'll begin to see it rising here more and more. It is actually already those V columns coming up out of the ground, as you can see today. It is a 7-story, 202,000 square foot building. And it, again, comes in at a cost of $232 million, about $75 million of that from SPEED bond funding. There are also a number of other partnerships as part of this project, but we're very excited to see that be completed tentatively in the spring of 2027. Next slide, please. And then looking ahead at our capital improvement program, just to touch on a few of these projects. We are continuing to invest in our core infrastructure. A lot of these still revolve around the theme of deferred maintenance and infrastructure on our campuses as they continue to age. Fortunately, this year we actually had a slight decrease in the overall average age of our campus buildings. We have fewer that are over 50 years of age due to some major renovations as well as some new facilities coming online that bring that overall total down. But you can see the list there that I won't go through one by one of some of the future projects that are on the horizon for additional deferred maintenance and infrastructure investment as well. And I'd be happy to take any questions that this committee has.
Does the committee have any questions? Hearing none, this is an action item, and I move the committee forward to the board for approval the U of A's annual capital plan, including a waiver of waiver policy requiring annual capital plan projects to appear in previous capital improvement plans as presented in the executive summary and supporting documentation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And welcome. Or welcome back, maybe.
Yes.
Moving on to item 3.4, the review and recommendation to the board for adoption of Arizona's state museum rates and fees for the University of Arizona. Mr. Arnold.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my pleasure to be here. The University of Arizona is statutorily designated to store and curate Arizona's historical artifacts. To fund that activity, the legislature established a fee structure. The Board of Regents actually has regulatory oversight of that fee structure, and so we're here today because statute requires us to review those fees with the board, and then the board has to take action to approve those fees. The fees were last set in 2017, which was the first time they were set, so it's been a few years and it was time to revisit those fees. The Arizona State Museum has followed the requirements in statute for raising fees, has conducted 3 forums throughout the state to hear constituent feedback. Tucson, Phoenix, and Flagstaff. Comments received during the comment period and forums were all documented onto the public notice website, and we did make some minor adjustments to the fee proposal based on those comments. The fee proposal today increases hourly service rates between 75% and 165%. Those increases are due to the under recovery of costs in the original 2017 fee proposal. So it was the first time we went through it, and we frankly missed some of those costs. The limited scope of billed services changes to salaries and just general inflation between 2017 and today. As noted, there was a change from the initial proposal published in the Arizona Administration Registrar to change the quantity for in perpetuity of curation of the documents from 1 inch down to a 1/4 inch, so that people can buy a 1/4 inch at a time versus a whole inch at a time in what we store for them. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. John,
Yes, sir.
the State Museum, we've discussed it recently, about a year, maybe a year and a half ago.
It was this meeting about a year ago.
That's what I
Yes, sir.
thought, and we had a pretty robust conversation about sort of how we viewed this unfunded mandate from the state, where the state requires us to have a state museum of a state asset, and the board had a point of view that this really is an assignment which the state should have rather than on our backs. And I see in your capital plan that the State Museum is in the capital plan, and now we're looking for the fee adjustment. And I'm wondering, are we back in the State Museum hosting business, or are we splitting the baby, if you will, where we are doing some things which are in our institution's interests and calling upon the state to invest
Yeah.
in its asset?
Madam Chair, Regent Duval. So hosting the State Museum involves a number of activities. The state did provide this fee authority for this particular activity, which is the identification, collection, curation of the artifacts. And through this fee structure, we are going to be able to recover the, that aspect of the State Museum. Storage of the artifacts has become a longer-term capital question for the university, and historically we have used the old library and the old State Museum for storage purposes, which are less than ideal. We are working with Richard Kate and Josh and others to identify more cost-effective and frankly secure ways to store those artifacts. We're in the several millions of individual items at this point, and that collection continues to grow every single year. And we do think we have a low-cost solution that we're exploring and may be able to move forward on. So then the next aspect of that is, what is the public-facing responsibility of the university in presenting these artifacts to our public? We had a limited display opportunity for the public in the old library that has been closed to the public for the last year, and we are looking for state support if we wanted to reopen. We do have some ideas and thoughts on how we might correct that moving forward, and how do you combine that mission with the university's mission. But I think we're all in agreement that where there are state responsibilities, they should fund those responsibilities. Where there are benefits to the university and the Board of Regents for advancing on a particular aspect of this collection, then maybe we should explore those benefits, those opportunities. And it might be an option for us to invest in some things that benefit both. We do have two beautiful buildings on our campus, really on the front porch of our campus, that were built in the 1930s, that are closed to the public. And that is both sad and not a great look for the university. So thinking through ways how we can address that.
Very diplomatic.
And lengthy, sorry about that.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Just going over one more time, who's impacted by these fee increases? Because it's not, is it going towards students, or is it going in a separate area?
Thank you. Excellent question, Regent Fisher, Madam Chair. No, these fees are applied to entities that are doing work on state lands. And then when they identify an artifact, so one of the largest payers of the fees are the utilities. So as they're going out developing utility lines across state lands, they need a permit to do that. And then if they identify artifacts in that work, they have to pay for the storage of those artifacts. So that's who pays the fee. Students do not. And in fact, this is a relief to our students who are minorly subsidizing this activity right now.
Awesome, thank you. Just the word fees, I know, scares me.
Yes, scares everybody. Not a student fee. That's probably how we should have introduced it. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, this is an action item. And I move this committee forward to the board for approval, the University of Arizona's request for revised fees for the Arizona State Museum State Mandated Cultural Resource Management Services as presented in the summary and supporting documentation with an added caveat that these are not student fees.
Ma'am, if I can just
Please.
mention, our museum director, Patrick, is here, and he's just done a great job for us in putting this proposal together. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Moving on to, and 3.5, no.
There's a preamble.
Oh, got it. So before we get to this part of the conversation, I wanted to share that over the years, we've heard from the presidents that ABOR policies have been a continuous exercise of addition, that we keep adding new policies and regulations, and we never strip out or modernize outdated or irrelevant policies, just really sort of simplifying the ABOR policy construct. We're being responsive, and we are beginning that process of review, meaning that we are looking at our existing policies. We're going to modernize and update them, and we're going to strip out the ones that don't make sense anymore. We acknowledge that in the spirit of good stewardship, and ABOR has accumulated barnacles over the years, and we are committed to getting rid of those barnacles. We know that some of you may have passion around some of those policies, and we're happy to have the conversation, but we really do want to make the process as streamlined as possible. So we're starting that process today. We're going to discuss some of these policy revisions and recommend them to the full board for consideration. This is our first step in the process, so we are open to input and analysis and review. We do want to do this well. Over the coming months, this committee intends to set sort of a steady stream of policy revisions / modernizations to send it to the full board with the intention of bringing our policies into alignment with the world today versus some of these were written a long time ago. Right, Dr. Crow?
Yes?
I think he wrote some of them.
Yes, thank you.
800 years ago even. And it's our goal.
Yes, I was born shortly after the end of World War II.
And so it's our goal to not only share how we're thinking about this, but also sort of invite the committee structure into the process while we're getting all of this coordinated. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brad.
Thank you.
My note
I'm gonna
says hand to Brad. Okay.
Hand back to you.
Oh, he's handing it now back to me. And so we are on item 4.1 and 4.3. Item 4.1 is the recommendation of forwarding to the board on first reading the proposed revisions to ABOR policy 1-125, oversight of university relationships with component unit affiliates. And so I understand that there may be a conflict of interest on 4.2, University Police Department Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Pension Funding Policy. So therefore, we'll skip that item for now, so the regent may recuse themselves from any discussion that we need to have around that. Does that work?
And then we'll also cover 4.3.
And so we'll begin with items, that sounded really complicated, so let me be clear. We'll begin with items 4.1 and 4.3. Then we will come back to 4.2 because of the potential conflict of interest that we have. And so 4.1, again, as I mentioned, is revises the policy of oversight of university relationships with component affiliates. And 4.2 is a proposal to revise policies 7-102, capital development process, and 7-207, leases. So we'll begin with 4.1. So I'm going to invite Letta, please, to lead off our conversation. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Regents, for item 4.1, currently the risk management discussions for component unit affiliates happens in the Audit and Risk Management Committee. Therefore, we're requesting that we amend policy so those annual reports that the university submit on component unit affiliates go to that Audit or Risk Management Committee instead of this UGO committee. And I'm assuming there's probably no questions on that, so I'll just briefly go on to 4.3. We're recommending two different capital policy amendments. For the first one is for the capital development process. It's just for reporting on two items that won't require board action. And then secondly, it's about leases. We're requesting additional information on commercial long-term leases. And then one other item. We're proposing that the universities be allowed to move forward with an amendment to a lease that has already been approved by the board, as long as there's no additional financial burden for that lease. So it'll, again, be something that will be taken off review and action and just to be reported.
Perfect. Are there
Thank you.
any questions? So these are both action items, and we're going to need two motions. So I move this committee forward to the board for first reading proposed revisions to ABOR Policy 1-125, Oversight of Universities' Relationships with Component Unit Affiliates, as presented in the executive summary and supporting documentation. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The second motion is I move that this committee forward to the board for first reading proposed revisions to ABOR Policy 7-102, Capital Development Process, and 7-207, Leases, as presented in the executive summary and the supporting documentation. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now, we will invite anyone with a conflict of interest on the following item to recuse themselves, and that is 4.2.
Madam Chair, I have a conflict, and I'll recuse myself from this, from consideration.
Thank you. Oh, so item 4.2, which is that we're asking the committee to review and forward for the board for first reading proposed revisions to ABOR Policy 6-609, University Police Department Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Pension Funding Policy. Lara.
Madam Chair, for item 4.2, as it currently stands in policy, there's a funding ratio for PSPRS to be met by 100% by fiscal year 2036. But because the state appropriated funding to each of the universities a few years ago, that funding ratio has been met. So we would like to update policy to reflect that the goal has been met.
Are there any questions? Discussion? Okay. I move that the committee forward to the board for first reading proposed revisions to ABOR Policy 6-609, University Police Department Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Funding, or Pension Funding Policy, as presented in the executive summary and supporting documentation. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. We are now going to item 4.4, which is recommending,
Not over here.
which is the recommendation to forward to the board on first reading the proposed revision to ABOR Policies 2-221, Academic Degree Programs, 2-222, Description and Definitions of Academic Units, 2-224, Academic Credit, 2-225, Academic Program Review, 2-320, Academic Year Calendar, 4-320, Purpose, Responsibility, and Goals, C, Student Financial Aid, 4-321 Financial Aid Regulations, 6-103 Salary Adjustments, 6-804 Sick Leave, 6-806 Bereavement Leave, 6-901 Salary Increases. I'm going to invite our Chief Academic Officer from ABOR to present this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Regents. As you just read off, I think the titles take longer to read than the amendments that you're going to be voting on. So congratulations on getting through the mouthful. As you mentioned earlier, the board staff routinely goes through policies to review them, but especially just recently, you all asked the presidents and their staff to volunteer up a bunch of policy and regulations that could do with review. And I'm happy to say they took to that with gusto. And we have well over 100 policy change suggestions, which we're working through. They affect roughly 60-odd policies. This is the first batch of those changes, and these are kind of the lowest hanging fruit out of the whole lot. There's a lot of detail in the body of this that requires some collaboration with the universities or checking with third parties or making sure things fit with statute or consultation. So we're working through all of that, and we'll be bringing further sets of policy recommendations through the year. This is the first batch of 11. I will not go through all the detail of each policy change, other than to say most of them are really subtle changes, either removing something that was redundant or adding a phrase that we needed to add that hadn't yet been added to policy that the universities wanted. So these were all relatively low-level changes, as highlighted in the front matter of this agenda item, so that you don't have to wade through every single piece of policy to find the all-caps amendment. And I'm happy to take questions on any of them.
Does anybody have any questions of Andrew? Okay, this is an action item. And Jenny, I have a question of you. Do I need to read them all through, or can I just read the numbers in the motion?
Say as described in the executive summary.
Okay.
Because the board will be fully voting on them, so this is a recommendation to the board.
Okay, so this is an action item, and so I move that we forward, that our committee forward to the board for first reading the proposed revisions to the ABOR policies that we just discussed that are extensively described in the executive summary and the supporting documentation.
For item 4.4.
Yes, for item 4.4.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Now moving on to 4.5, which we will also be making a recommendation to the board on first reading, the proposed revisions to ABOR policy 4-203, requirements to be considered in determining an individual's residency classification for tuition purposes, 2-325, Arizona Teachers Academy, 4-323, tuition waiver scholarship and institutionally supported financial aid programs, 4-406, law enforcement officer spouses and dependents tuition scholarship, and 4-405, spouses of military veterans tuition scholarships. Lastly, Samantha, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The Arizona legislature enacted several provisions that impacted ABOR policies. These changes are to comply with the new laws that will be in effect on September 26th. And so the changes to our policies regarding law enforcement spouse dependents and the spouses of military veterans and the policies related to the Promise Scholarship, they will be effective September 26th, but retroactive to after June 30th. And they briefly acknowledge that we now administer the Community College Promise Fund, and that they reflect the new statutes regarding the spouses of law enforcement officers and military veterans. And then the changes to our policies regarding the Teachers Academy and the ROTC cadets will be effective on September 26th. We have a new tuition waiver for ROTC cadets, and the community college's baccalaureate programs have now been added to the Teachers Academy. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does the committee have any questions? Okay. This is an action item, and so I move that this committee forward to the board for first reading proposed revisions to ABOR policies as described in this section, and as a reminder, in the executive summary and all of the supporting documentations. And this specifically is for item 4.5. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We really appreciate all of your hard work on this. With that, Mr. Chair, I believe that we are done with our committee, and with your permission, can adjourn.
Yeah, I'd just like to, before we adjourn back to executive session,
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
just thank you for doing this. I mean, house cleaning is never fun, and ABOR is cleaning out its attic and its cellar. And
Spring cleaning.
you have to read an awful lot of names and policies, and it's all for the greater good and will make us a more modern and better institution. So thank you for taking this on.
Are you thinking the team, or are you thinking me?
I'm thanking you.
I didn't have a choice.
You had to read it all.
No, I'm happy to do it, and it only makes our organization better.
With that, we should move to executive, we're moving to executive session.
He's cut off.
Yeah.
Too much water.
Getting rooster off.
Not enough water.
So, do I need to move to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, so I move to adjourn.
Second. Oh, see you a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.